Trust works in the Great Pee River watershed of South Carolina, from the North Carolina line near Cheraw to Winyaw Bay on the Atlantic coast. We are a community-based, nonprofit organization working to conserve the farms, forests, streams, and rivers that define the Pee Dee region so many know and love.
The history of this land is that the Irvins bought this property in 1812 and have held on to the land ever since. It was bought from a Mr. Abercrombie from Sumter, and that was an original land grant.
One of the key things for me, at least in working with Pee Dee Land Trust, was realizing that the board was people who were from the Pee Dee region. They're people who know us, they know our heritage, they know our history. It's people who have experienced and lived what we live and realize the intrinsic value of that.
A major reason for putting the land into the land trust was to help us preserve it. We had fought many battles before the idea of the land trust came to us.
Conservation in this area goes back generations before us. Ida's grandfather and father were both very interested in that, particularly from the point of view of the pollution that was going into Black Creek, and the Black Creek Protection Association came out of that. Eventually the Black Creek Land Trust, the Pee Dee Land Trust, all share the goal of preserving the environment. And so it's been something not that we've started, but something that we've carried on, and indeed we've kind of been standing on the shoulders of giants in this area.
Through Pee Dee Land Trust and the wonderful events that we have, people get out and enjoy the property and come into beautiful spots and just enjoying nature. And then they realize how important it is to preserve land. And we do this for other people who aren't able to live in the country and for our own children and grandchildren.
Pee Dee Land Trust helps landowners develop conservation strategies for their properties. Our region has a long history of families who are deeply connected to the land. Family-owned farms and forests are the heart and soul of the Pee Dee region and are essential to the quality of life enjoyed by people who live here and by those who visit. Since our founding in 1999, Pee Dee Land Trust has secured over 16,000 acres of land through voluntary conservation agreements.
People measure value in different means. Some people look at value as the value of sale of dollars. There's another intrinsic value that's present in the land, and that's the sense of place. It's written so much about people want to know where they're from, and by preserving this, it gives the generations the ability to know where they're from. It was a contained community. I mean, the canning house was there, the smokehouse was there, the place for the dairy for the animals, the workshop to build things, build boats during the Depression to help support the family. And when you realize that those previous generations struggled so hard to pull this together, there's a greater intrinsic value there, that lessons that can be learned by our children and our grandchildren and hopefully our great-grandchildren that we've learned from her grandparents of how to persevere in difficult times. One of the great things we've had about being on the land is for many, many years we had families from our church come out and have campouts for 2 nights. We did this shortly after Christmas and would have a huge bonfire where they would burn their Christmas tree. We've had for many years, 20 years, we've had children's groups come out here and to our campsite, and Ida would have them for a school day.
And one year, a little boy told me he had never seen an open fire. And it just thrilled my heart that he had gotten to experience a fire, a campfire.
It's been a wonderful thing to be able to share with other people. And when you think about it, we really are sharing in a heritage going back many, many years, even before her family got here. And that's been brought to mind by the Arrowhead collection that her father found over the years plowing behind a mule. And those arrowheads go back 8 to 10,000 years and provide us the realization that, while we might think we own this land, we're just part of it too, and there'll be someone else in the future who'll have it, and it's our job as stewards of the land to maintain it and leave it a little bit better than we found it.
So I'm grateful to Petey Land Trust and for my heritage and for the privilege of getting to be a steward of this little part of the earth, and to say thanks be to God for His wonderful creation and for the privilege of being a steward.
Petey Land Trust facilitated us working with our children in making the decision to do this. Information we needed was provided. The children were fully educated regarding what we were doing, why we were doing it. We're fortunate that our children are very conservation minded, but I think that's probably one of the obstacles and reluctance things that people have is, am I doing the right thing? What's the impact going to be for my children and grandchildren? And I often think about that and I wonder what the impact will be. And I've come down to the conclusion that they'll either think that we were two of the wisest people they ever knew, or two who really did a foolish thing. And if they think we did a foolish thing, then we've done a poor job in educating our children and grandchildren, because it is the wisest thing we've done.
Petey Land Trust, protecting the past, ensuring the future for this generation and for generations to come.